All right, let me open my IG. I see you.
I just sent you the invite.
Okay.
Hey guys.
Hey. All right, I'm getting off the Zoom with you, Amber.
Hi.
Hello. Hi,
Can
ladies.
Hey guys.
You can see
Yeah.
me?
Happy Sunday.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like everybody's up close.
We're all so cute. I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, we're here. Let's add this filter. Here we go. All right.
I couldn't get any filter to work on me at all.
I'm sorry.
Not one. That's fine. I'm A-okay.
You look beautiful,
I'm
Maria.
A-okay.
Gorgeous.
I
Yeah.
would like a filter.
Let's see if I can give this a go again. Let's see. Yeah, none of them seem to work. It's cool.
No.
Not meant to be.
All right.
We don't want that one.
Oh no.
We could always turn the one where we turn into little cats.
That's a better one.
All right. Well, we're here. It's 8:00 on Sunday. We are going to have our fireside chat. Our discussion today is independence. What does independence look like? How do you gain independence? What are the steps to accomplish it? So we're all here. We are the board directors of IgniteHer, and we're going to get into this topic and, be very open and honest and transparent with you guys, because what better way to maneuver a relationship than to talk about how to get to the point of independence. So I'll let everyone introduce themselves. My name is Amber.
Vanessa.
I'm Tiffany.
Vanessa.
And I'm Nancy.
Awesome. All right. So to kind of open the way for the conversation, I think we should really start with, what does it look like to not have independence in a relationship? I think that's where we have to start this conversation to peel back those layers. So let's open it up.
Who wants to go first? I'll jump in. For what it's like to not have the independence, you may not start out feeling this way because you gradually get into it, but you really start feeling suffocated. Like something is sitting on your chest, that you're walking on eggshells, like you really just feel trapped. At least that's how I would describe it in my scenario.
Yeah.
Aleki agrees.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lecky.
I agree. I don't personally know what it feels like to be dependent financially, but I know what it felt like to be dependent emotionally. And that was a 24-hour job where you never feel that you're accomplishing a goal, and it's exhausting. I think for me, the fear of truly losing any bit of self for me meant losing that financial independence. So that I tried to hold on to as much as possible, because that was always kind of my scapegoat of like, I can take care of myself if this doesn't go good. But definitely that emotional companion dependentship, that codependent, is exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I lost my independence was when I stopped doing things that I was doing for years because of it was just causing problems, and it's just better off if I just don't even go do this because I just don't want to hear it. So it was more along the lines of stopping the things that I was regularly doing. I lost self is what my innermost self of who I was and who I had worked so hard to get to was being taken away, and I didn't even know it.
Absolutely. For me, I would say that not having independence, I think in the past I realized, oh, I don't have it because I don't have freedom. When you like you're a prisoner in any type of situation, relationship, you no longer have the independence of self. It is entrapment. Now, being in that, what does independence actually look like for you guys? Like, how do you know you have it? What encompasses it?
I think one of the biggest feelings is you have peace, right? That peaceful feeling of, and in my scenario, I don't have to answer to anybody. I've got my own responsibilities. I don't have to check in other than with family just to make sure everyone's okay. But no one's got their thumb on me. No one is, where are you going? What are you doing? Who are you seeing? Like, none of that matters right now. Like, I have full control over my joy, my peace, my day to day. And that's a damn good feeling.
I think for me, being independent, it's security. I have true security in my own independence. A big part of that is trusting my own decisions, getting to a place through therapy, through healing, where I can really trust my own decisions. Um, I was thinking a few weeks ago, one of my dreams is to be on TEDx and tell my story. And I thought of what would my title be? And I thought of the word trust. And then I broke the word down to the reason you are still thriving. And that is literally what independence looks like for me when I'm learning to trust myself again. I can wake up, go to sleep, and I know I have peace in the 24 hours of the day that I can control. Sorry, guys, my dog is hitting the camera. Sorry. Yeah.
I really enjoyed what Tiffany said, and that feeling of having peace, of the independence. I didn't know that I was attaining that peace within my current relationship because I was so jaded and had so much work to do in the beginning of my relationship, even before we got married, to realize that I wasn't being controlled. I was free. I was able to do whatever, and I was able to do things, and the person that was never required me to call in, check in, or has any motive whatsoever, which I've always been with somebody who had a motive, so it was to be in that relationship. I didn't even know that I was getting a healthy, independent relationship and becoming independent. And in that, I've been able to be free to do whatever I want to do, and that person supports whatever I want to do. So I think that, like, experiencing that independence, and I would be like, why aren't you calling me? Why aren't you checking on me? Why aren't And he's like, you want me to be calling and bothering you? It's like, because I was so used to the unhealthy control phone calls every 5 minutes. So to have, it's like this independence in a healthy relationship, and it's very, sometimes very weird because I'm not used to being in a healthy relationship. So that's a lot of work for me.
Yeah, that was actually going to be one of my questions, being that you are married, Nancy, and you now have found your light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, can you achieve independence in a happy relationship? And you've answered the question, yes. But for those people who are in a relationship that they do consider healthy, they think it's healthy, but there isn't that independence factor, what would be something that you would say is like an indicator that you don't have independence?
In any way, shape, or form. Well, see, I also respect my husband. So if I say, "Hey, I want to buy a new bed," and he says our bed is fine and we don't need a new bed, I also, because he respects me, and I respect him, that I honor him. So there's also that kind of, everybody has a different dynamic of the relationship. If I was to go to him every single time and say this, and he says no to me every time, or doesn't give me a logical reason, or this is something we need to think about, let's look how our funds go for the end of the year. I'm just saying, for instance, that would be kind of an indicator. Like I don't have I can't do what I want to do with my money, which is our money. But now if I really wanted to go buy a bed, I'll go buy a bed, and he wouldn't say anything about it. But I don't do that, right? So, but because I know I can do that, and I could do that, and it wouldn't be 4th of July fireworks, no pun intended, independence. It would be, I would be able to do that because with my own money. So I think just that small little bit of control, you would feel that.
Okay. I love that. How would someone go about, as we get to the point of, okay, I realize I don't have independence in this relationship. This relationship is toxic. They're starting to recognize those signs. What are the steps that someone should take to start securing their own independence for themselves?
I'll let Tiffany go into that one.
I would say first and foremost, figure out a safe way or safe people you can have a conversation with, and lean on them for support, because you're going to need it. I mean, it's a tough journey to do by yourself, or even with anyone's support. But really putting some type of a plan together. If shit hits the fan, where are your keys? Where's your purse? What are the most important things you need to grab right then and there to head out the door? Like, it was my dog, my purse with my computer, and everything else, like all my bank statements, all that stuff, I can get online, right? Like, I didn't have to like shuffle papers around, but like clothes on my back, if I needed to get out, clothes on my back, grab my dog. I can go buy dog food at 7-Eleven or the convenience store. What was the most important that I needed to leave, and where was it, and how fast could I get it? So having that like ready and for any time, right? Any blow up, any conversation could escalate very quickly. But then taking it a step further, if you had some time, like it took me a minute to leave, but I knew after 4 times leaving, that 5th time, I needed to have a safety plan in place, like a strategy. I had Amazon shipping boxes to 7-Eleven to the little box so I could go pick it up and put it in my storage unit. I lied and said I was taking clothes to Goodwill, and I packed up a suitcase and rolled it on out the door to drop it off at Goodwill, also known as the storage unit. So as things started like disappearing, it wasn't necessarily questioned. I was questioned, what's taking you so long? Why are you spending so much time here or at work or on the way home, whatever. So I had to like maneuver into that day to day and figure out, you know what, when the shit hits the fan, I'm out and I already have my to-go bag. Basically, my to-go bag was basically at the storage unit.
Mm-hmm.
So having a plan in place, like, first of all, the first thing, what can you take out immediately and leave everything behind? And then second, get that strategy in place of, if you do leave, what are your most essential things that you need to go somewhere else, to whether it's a shelter, whether it's a hotel, whether it's a friend's house. It doesn't, like, find someplace safe, and have something that you can take with you, it's your home, right? It's the warm hug that you give yourself, that stuff that you're taking with you.
Love that. Any other answers? No.
That's
I'll
about
say
it. I mean,
community. The biggest thing for me when I was coming out of my situation, and just kind of learning how to stand back on my feet mentally again. Um, Again, I had the finances and everything was in place, but if this is gone, everything else is irrelevant. And that is the God's honest truth. I couldn't function. I was mentally broken. My abuser literally broke me down to the last pulp mentally. And no one knew what I was going through, but I knew who I could go to when I was ready to come out and say, and I knew that I wasn't going to feel judged. And being able to go to that one person, it opened the door to, okay, what's next step? Her contacting my therapist and just getting the rest of the community that she knows probably I wouldn't reach out to, but that she knew that wouldn't judge, getting that community. And it was a very small one, very, very small one, when I first left, because I still didn't trust. And I mean, still to this day, a lot of people don't know to the degree where I am, what happened because of that trust factor. But to me, I would say community, having that community base, it was crucial for me to regaining my independence.
Absolutely.
When it came to on the financial side, because everything is being controlled. So, we talk about we go to Walmart and we take an additional $20 out. You have that little envelope and you have it stashed somewhere safe. Generally, your abuser doesn't care too much about anything that you care about, right? So your pictures, your photo albums of your children or your family, if you put that that kind of stuff in there, they're never going to look because they really don't care, generally. And so you have those little stashes set aside. You have that bag, your to-go bag, like Tiffany had said. It's like having a fire, right? If there's a fire, what am I grabbing? And generally, if you're under that kind of situation, it's always a fire, right? It's always category 5, what is it, Mach 1 or DEFCON 1? Like, it's always like that, that it's from 0 to 100. And I think it's the small little baby step. Right now, I'm going to get an envelope and I'm going to save some money.
Mm-hmm.
Then tomorrow or in a month, I'm gonna start talking to people. I'm gonna start talking about it. It's like everybody's on a different level and journey to share and to get out. But I think if you just start taking that little step, that's a step, and you start to feel powerful. Even though in your powerlessness, when you feel powerless, you taking that little step does make you have some power. You're taking some initiative and power back in your life.
One of the
So,
things that I did real quick,
yeah.
Amber, one of my situations when I lived with someone, I went back and in my spirit, I kind of knew it wasn't going to work out, but I was trying. When I came back, I reorganized everything, but no, I literally just packed everything a certain way that if come time that I have to run out the house, everything that I need is organized. And it was the best thing that I could have done in that situation.
That's smart.
Yeah. They thought I was reorganizing, but for me, I was re-strategizing all of my belongings, throwing things out that I didn't need and
Yeah.
keeping everything that I needed that was important.
Yeah.
Reorganizing for
Re-strategizing.
your exit.
Yeah.
So one thing that I will say, everyone's plan, of course, is different. You know, Vanessa, your plan was different from Tiff's, and Nancy, your plan is different from theirs. And I think one thing that women who are in a relationship where they don't have that independence, there is no right or wrong way. You know,
Yeah.
there is not a specific plan that everyone who's in DV should follow to get out of the situation. I know for me, that first encounter of physical abuse, I was on a plane the next day to going completely across state lines. Never saw him again. You know, that for me was my escape. That was my plan. It was like, you know what? I'm just going to disappear. And that's exactly what I did. Had I had been deeper in that relationship, I feel like I would have had to sit down and probably have a plan the way that you guys. I need to start moving things this way. I need to start stashing money. But I was so fearful of what could happen if I stayed another day. So my was like gone. So I say that to say that anyone who's in that relationship, go with your gut. If it's telling you to run out that door tomorrow, run out that door tomorrow.
Absolutely.
It's telling you to take your time and do it the best way so you secure some independence before you walk away from the relationship, do that as well. But no plan is the same for everyone.
Always take every measure to stay safe.
Yeah.
Because the exit plan, if they get wind of it, it can escalate things very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And you, like, there is no right or wrong way to exit, but staying safe is always the most important.
And I think the biggest thing too, like when we're thinking about escaping a relationship, the last thing we want to do is, you know, create a red flag so the person causes more harm to us.
Right.
It is one of the things where people stay because they're more afraid of leaving than they are staying in a relationship. And my mother, for example, finally growing the courage to leave, I wish she would have had a plan. I wish she would have made a little bit more silent. But she was so proud in her decision of leaving him that she wanted him to know that, look, I choose myself. I'm out of here. And unfortunately for her, I didn't give that opportunity. But I say this because it just looks so different for everyone. And I think that if you have a community, have people there to support you, you can maneuver your way out safely.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's important in this situation.
And a lot of times all you can do is comply until you can exit, right?
Yeah.
Yes, whatever you want, whatever you need, whatever, comply, and then boom, you're out.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
You know,
I think go ahead, Nancy.
no. Go ahead, Vanessa.
I think we all know who our abuser is most often. You know your audience. You know what ticks them off. Sometimes we don't, but to a degree, any sign of you leaving 9 times out of 10 is going to set them off. Just be very, very cautious because that's kind of a life and death situation. You know, it's a small window that you have sometimes. I know one of the times that I tried leaving just to go home from an argument, and was bear hugged from the back and dragged into his room. I thought that he was going to rape me, so I bit his arm to let me go. He dragged me into the room and viciously bit me all over. Had I known that that was in him, I probably wouldn't have even tried to leave my house that first night, and I just would have stayed till he fell asleep and left.
Yeah.
So definitely, while you're in the height of wanting to leave, just also make sure that you are safe.
Yeah, if they are physical, and that's hence why we do a lot of our self-defense classes now, because we are smaller. Generally, we are smaller than them, and just to have those techniques to break free, being bear hugged from behind. What do you do? How do you get out of that? But if you have somebody who or sometimes that physical violence comes out of nowhere, never hits you anything, and then all of a sudden you're going to leave, and it's like over my dead body or over your dead body. That safety is first. Waiting they sleep heavy generally, let them go to bed, then get out of there. That's it's just it's a scary thing. And when you're with them and they're telling you you're never going to do better, you own nothing. I own everything. This is all mine. If you take this, I'm going to call the cops on you. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to have you arrested. I mean, I heard it all. I was a wife and I was hearing that. And little did I know that was all mine too, but you're being told all this stuff. And, when you're being brainwashed, that's where you're like, maybe I can't leave. Maybe I can't do this on my own. Maybe I don't own anything. So that right there, what you were saying, Amber, like it looks different for everybody, or what is your plan of action? And it's like, sometimes you do think my abuser, like, is this the best I can do? Is my picker really that broken? So yeah.
I mean, with the tropical storm right now in the Gulf of Mexico and in us in Florida, we're getting a lot of it. In October 2018, I literally left in the middle of a storm.
Mm-hmm.
It was pouring, lightning, thundering. I grabbed my dog, I grabbed my purse, and I went out the door in the middle of a storm like an idiot. But I couldn't stay any longer, because if I did, it would have escalated beyond what I had already dealt
Right.
with. And I did not want to deal with that.
There's a story actually that I have wanted to talk about. There was a story years ago about a woman who was in a DV relationship, and she wanted to orchestrate a plan to leave her abuser, but she felt like it was impossible because he never left the house. He was getting disability. He worked from home. She worked from home. And at night, he would sleep by the bedroom door, and he was a sleeper. There was really no way for her to just get up in the middle of the night and leave, like what you talked about, Vanessa. So for her, she felt like her only way to escape the situation was to give him sleeping pills and his alcohol, to get him knocked out enough to where she could lift his arm and drop it and he didn't move. And that is how she escaped the situation. It
Good
was
for
the
her.
only way that she could get out was by knocking his ass out. Best way to put it,
Yeah.
non-physical, but that was the way that she was able to get out of that relationship. So not that I'm saying, ladies, drug the man and get out of there.
Yeah.
When you're in a situation that's so deep and so dark, like, you will do anything to protect yourself. So explore your options, like, just know what's going to work for you. Do it smartly, because the last thing we want is you to get hurt in the process of leaving.
Absolutely.
So since we are, we've talked about our plan, we've talked about what it looks like, let's talk about IgniteHer and how we as an organization can help women pave the way to independence. And I'll let you guys kind of go into that.
Yeah, well, I think the creation of IgniteHer was really about bringing together a community of women who were in similar situations that can find a safe place to have that conversation of what they went through, what they're going through, a friend or family member that's in that scenario. How do I address them? How do I talk to them? How do I save them? In opening that discussion, removing the shame and guilt associated with it, because we've all felt it, right? I mean, how could I get myself into that? Well, the old me would have never done that. In the blink of an eye, you're in the middle of it. And not, we can't change the past, but you can forgive yourself, remove the shame and the guilt, help other women by sharing your story and helping them find resources, right? So safe exit strategies, if you're in a situation, how to exit safely. It started with self-defense, right? That's like the quickest way to exit. But we are exploring other things too, on, just safe exit things, right? And how to keep ourselves safe and keep those that we love, because children or animals may also come with us, right? And a lot of times that's a barrier for leaving. But finding the resources. I didn't know that there were places you could call. I had no idea. I've never been in that situation. I didn't know of any friends in that situation. I just knew I had to get out and I didn't know where to go or who to call. So getting that information in one spot, if it's at one of our in-person events, having an advocate there on site, having a facility on site that is either a shelter, a rape center, a mental health place, having them be able to answer all the questions that you have in one spot. So really just like a safe bubble for you to like be able to tell your story or lean on one of us and be able to tell your story, and hopefully we can provide you the resources that you need to exit or get help or reach out to friends and know how to have that discussion. And that's kind of, you know, the fun little family, the fun community.
Yeah.
Definitely taking the shame, bringing the awareness to the domestic violence. I think a lot, it is like this dirty secret. It is a very quiet thing that happens because a lot of it happens behind closed doors. And just like you said, you know, how did I get here? I'm smart, I'm strong. How did this happen to me? And because it is a gradual, progressive thing. So taking that shame, bringing the awareness, giving them the resources, you know, and again, not just only at our events, but having our online presence as well, where and having things like this where it's like you're not alone. You're not alone. We have people that come to the workshops, share their story that they've never shared to anybody, to be in a community, a safe community, like you're saying, Tiffany, in knowing that there are other women who some women are ignorant to it, some men are ignorant to it. I at some time in my life was also ignorant to it, even though I had been brought up in it, but I just was like, that's gonna not happen to me in my adulthood. And lo and behold, so to really bring that shame away from it, and to really bring light in a peaceful way to, you know, to their soul. I think that's kind of how I feel like how we've really have touched people that way as well, you know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think community. We bring a full-fledged community of women, resources and knowledge. I was with my abuser a year and a half, and I would say a year and 4 months, I continuously questioned, was someone biting me abuse? I literally did not know I was being abused. Now there were other things that I knew he was abused, you know, that he was dragging me, other things that he would do, but that biting, like I was trying to find somewhere in my mind that it wasn't abuse.
Mhm.
And when I shared my story just with you all and seeing how similar, one of the benefits of community is when you share that story of the abuser, there's a blueprint amongst abusers. They may work at different places, they may have different pay grades, but 9 times out of 10, their MO and how they move, it's all very blueprint and similar. And I think being able to have that community of being able to say, hey, this is what it looked like for me, this is what it looked like for me, and so on and so forth. And other women being able to see women that maybe look like them. Maybe, you know, seeing women that look a certain way and say, well, I would never think that maybe they would go through something like
Right.
this, you know, like Nancy's won bodybuilding competition. I would never think that she's been through, but just really seeing, no, we are all just human beings and we are all vulnerable. Having that community of being able to say, no, I really get it. I really get the fear. I get the shame. I get the being scared to tell anyone because you feel like someone's going to judge you and re-victimize
Right.
you. But then you just got to throw your hand up and say, F it. It is what it is. If that's what folks are going to do, but we don't do that. IgniteHer doesn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's one of the big things that we bring to the community in regards to independence and just living through and surviving through a DV situation.
Yeah.
Love that.
And we bring diversity, you know. One great thing that I love about our event is it's full of so many different cultures, so many different colors. Everyone comes feeling, I feel like at home. Like I see
Yeah.
so many smiles at our events. I hear so much positive feedback. And for me, creating these events and these environments, women can come and listen to people's stories and start to understand, like Nessa said, you are not alone. You judge a book by its cover. You may see the woman walk in the room, but that woman may have the deepest, darkest story that you have ever heard. So as we educate and we let people know, like 1 in 4 women are victims of domestic violence. That's high.
Yeah.
That we could walk in a room of 100 women and almost half could potentially be survivors or in relationships with people who are abusing them.
And
Yeah.
Amber, that's all that's been reported.
Yeah.
Think about all the ones that are not reported. That is that's probably 8 out of 10 people are probably in a DV situation that have never reported it.
Yeah.
Right. But when we look at statistics, over 60% of the calls made to the police department are domestic violence calls.
Yep.
And most of the time they either don't go out or the person calls back and says never mind.
Yep.
And that to me speaks volumes. So as we grow and continue to educate, I know that we will continue to bring people within our circle and help them maneuver that, path to independence. And I'm happy to be doing it with you guys because you guys are amazing.
Absolutely.
Any closing remarks or book recommendations that we can give our listeners today?
Codependent No More.
Codependent.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great book.
That's a very good book.
Yes, I didn't know that I was getting into relationships, one through trauma bonding, but also that desire of feeling needed. And that led me to really disturbed, broken people that were dark in dark places and saw my light and sucked that out. And I didn't realize that I, to a degree, was codependent. And then they became leeches on my soul.
Yeah.
And when I started to feel that discomfort and pull away, that's where a lot of the abuse came. So codependent no more. If you are in a relationship, if you are not in a relationship, give it to your girlfriends for Christmas. It is just a really, really great book. Yeah.
I love that.
I've read that book.
I'm a huge fan of this one. Is It My Fault? It talks about it's Christian based, and it talks about all the signs, right? It goes through the list of all the signs, and I'm not even kidding you. I started highlighting and I'm like, the whole page is highlighted. What was I thinking? And it goes into the religious abuse, how people misuse religious phrases and parts of the Bible and what they use, but what it actually says. So it kind of clarifies that a lot. And in the back, it has a game plan. So I'm a huge fan of this. This was recommended by a Christian therapist, and I pretty much give it to everyone that I come into contact with that has contacted me about what did you use? What did you read? It's always this book. It's amazing.
I think the belief system that we have within ourselves, we have to tap into the why. Why do I believe this about myself? Why am I here? Why is this repeating? To dig deep all the way back to childhood to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that we can read all the books we want, we can do all these things. If we're not putting in the work, whatever that looks like, if it being uncomfortable and not being in a relationship for a couple years, maybe that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to take some me time, and it's uncomfortable, so I think that the therapy, the digging deep, figuring out the why, and going back as far as you can so you're not repeating so you continue to have your independence.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much because my book recommendation was, why don't we ask why?
Oh,
Nice
I knew it.
segue.
Yeah,
Great segue.
I love it. I was like, okay. But I agree 100% with everything that you say. I think that in order for us to grow, heal, and move forward, we do sit down and ask, why am I like this? Why am I attracted to people like this? Why do I keep falling for the same type of person?
Mhm.
And when we start to dig deep and go through that personal journey, we reach a point of enlightenment where we don't want to blame ourselves. It's not our fault for the abuse. It's our fault that we didn't deal with our trauma, that we want to be with someone who makes us feel a certain way when really they for us.
Right.
It's not our fault. It's just our fault for not dealing with our past trauma to get us to a place of being with someone who truly deserves being with us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One thing I will add, I've been through substantial trauma, and I never felt, I never got to a place where I was like, maybe I deserve this. And it wasn't until my ex choked me out and felt my legs kicking, legs stopped kicking. I couldn't breathe anymore. And when he jumped off of me and now starts yelling at me to get out of the house, I was so scared that he was going to kill me. I remember sitting on the edge of the bed frozen, and I literally said to myself, maybe this is what needed to happen for me to stop bitching. Because he'd been saying, all you do is bitch, all you do is bitch. Not taking into consideration I'm bitching because all the cheating and just all the abuse and everything else that I'm going through. But I literally, for the first time in my life, thought to myself, maybe I deserved this. And to any woman listening to this, you do not deserve it. There is nothing that you have done that warrants any man, woman physically harming you, mentally harming you, emotionally harming you. That is a conscious decision that they are making. So, again, I never thought that I would experience that, and I have experienced that. And it shocked me when I came to weeks later of like, holy shit, like I really have been broken down that bad that I thought that I deserved for this man to choke me out until I couldn't breathe. So to any woman or man, there are some men that are on a smaller frame and they've got big women that can manhandle them.
Yeah.
If they're in that situation, no one deserves to be hurt, choked out, bruised out, emotionally bruised out. Like it's, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's such an important thing too, because it's not, abuse isn't just one sex.
Yeah.
Woman on woman, man on
Absolutely.
man, whatever, like whatever the dynamic, it can happen both directions. And mental,
Mother, father,
emotional, yeah,
aunt, uncle, right?
Siblings.
everywhere.
It's domestic, right?
Yeah,
Sorry, Tiffany, I
it's
jumped in.
okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
And even like for, in the schools, like in college, I was, speaking with someone on Friday that in a college scenario, it's not considered truly domestic because you're not living with them, right? You're living at the dorms, but it is intimate partner violence, right? You're intimate with them, and that dynamic is still created.
Yeah.
So there's
Abuse is abuse,
exactly, abuse is
whether you
abuse.
live together or not.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And knowing what all of that entails, if someone is going through it, educate yourself really on a broken rib, a bruised wrist. Like it's so much deeper.
So,
We lost you for a sec, Tiff, but you're
Oh,
back.
sorry. I was just saying, know about like what the depth of abuse is out there, because it's not just the things you can see. And a lot of times the abuser is hiding that, so you won't have a black eye, but you'll be bruised everywhere else.
yeah.
So really
I was
understand
100-degree
that.
weather long sleeve shirts in the summer at football games for my ex's son, completely bruised
Yep.
out,
Yeah.
bite marks all on my arm in 100-degree weather. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
But I want to add to any female that will hear this, or male, or whoever is in a DV situation. I know you're carrying shame, but I also want you to understand that most of us didn't understand and start healing until far gone from that situation.
Yeah.
So just because you're not there yet mentally to say, I understand why I'm picking this, and I'm you may not even have the mental space to go there because you're literally maneuvering through every day. I don't want you to feel like a failure. Absolutely. I don't want you to feel like you're less than, not worthy, that you deserve to stay in that situation. Absolutely not. Because some of us, it takes a year. Some of us, it takes 2 seconds. Some of us, it takes 20 years to get out. Some of us never get to get out. Our fellow warriors will never get to get out, and they will go to the grave having only been in that relationship. None of us are better than another, but we're all here to help lift one another up and through.
It took me 48 years to be where I am today.
Yeah.
I mean, so from the childhood trauma abuse, going through, all of it, to extensive therapies and working, so we are always like a work in progress, right? We're always, and then this happens because we're not ready to deal with it. That you're not emotionally ready. Just like you said, I'm not I have no capacity to deal with that magnitude. I just need to get that out right now, right? That's just like the first step. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
Fantastic.
You ladies are all beautiful. I love that we can have these open conversations and just be transparent, which I feel like the DV community needs that.
Yeah.
We cannot beat around the bush. We need to address the issue head on, speak the shit, no sugarcoating, and
Yep.
together we're going to build a community of survivors and warriors and take them to the other side, which is where the grass is greener with us.
Yes.
Yeah. And if your family shuns you, lean on us. We got you.
we got
Because
Yeah.
you.
families will be the
We're here.
first folks to shame you and re-victimize you and say that you deserved it. Or if it's a man that's paying all of the bills, well, what did you do wrong?
Yeah.
If that's what you're met with, feel free to give us a call, and I'll promise you one of us will be at an airport to find you, pick you up, and be your family.
Yeah.
Drop
Yeah.
that mic. Go ahead, Nessa. All right. Well, thank you everyone who joined us tonight. We are so appreciative of all of you guys.
Yes.
We definitely will have our next fireside chat and dates coming out soon, as well as workshops that we have coming. And stay tuned because we have great content coming that I can't wait to share.
Yay.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.